Scottish flag, and then we've got Scotland, Northern Europe, the northern part of the United Kingdom. So there we go, we've got the main cities of Scotland. You've got Glasgow in the west, it's my city. Edinburgh, which is our capital. St Andrews, a very old city. It's where golf was invented. It's a very beautiful, well, it's not really a city, it's a little town, but very, very beautiful, right on the water. And then Aberdeen in the north, which again, a very old city, and very, very beautiful, lots of granite. So when the sun shines, it sparkles. What's the sparkle? Yeah, so the sun on the granite makes the city sparkle. It's a nice city. Next one. Okay, so capital's Edinburgh, and the money is the pound sterling, just British money. But we print our own different banknotes. So we've got lots of different pictures on the banknotes of Adam Smith, of our national poet Robert Burns, of Arthur Conan Doyle. I think you know who Arthur Conan Doyle is, yeah? So lots and lots of different banknotes. And when we go to England, sometimes they say, what's this? This isn't British money. And they don't take it. But it is, it's the same money.
Are they valid?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. It's still the pound sterling. So it's the same money. It's just got a different picture. Our population is only 5.3 million, so it's about the same size as your whole city. So we're just a little country. In Scotland we speak 3 languages. English, everyone speaks English. Then there's Gaelic, which is spoken in the northwest and on the islands on the west. And Scots, which is spoken in different ways all over the country.
Yeah. Are they same or different?
Gaelic is very, very different. Scots has its roots in English, but it's very much a different language. It's got some Germanic words, like you said. It's got Nordic words from Scandinavia. It's got some Gaelic words.
So this is what works with the
Some of these are Scots. Some of them are a dialect called Doric, which is spoken in Aberdeen. So there's lots of languages, dialects all over Scotland. And lastly, as you know, Scotland is part of the United Kingdom. So first we'll have a look at Edinburgh, our capital city. We've got in the middle picture here, we've got Edinburgh Castle, which is right in the very centre of the city. When you arrive in Edinburgh by train, you walk out of the station, and the first thing that you see is this big castle in the centre of the city. It's really very, very impressive. Then we've got Glasgow. Glasgow is a city which has a great combination of the traditional and the modern. So here you've got George Square in the centre of the city, where the government buildings are, local government. And then we've got Glasgow University, which was opened in 1640, so a long, long time ago. But then, bringing it into the 20th and 21st century, we've got the science centres and the exhibition centres, which were built only 15, 20 years ago and are very, very modern buildings. This one is called, its nickname is the Armadillo. What's an armadillo? Any ideas? No? You can look it in the dictionary. It's a little animal that comes from Australia, and it looks a little bit like this building. So it's got a nickname, it's an armadillo.
Small animal.
Yeah, yeah. Next one. Then we've got some other famous sites in Scotland. Scotland's a small country, so if ever you visit, then it's very easy to visit Edinburgh and Glasgow, and to visit different parts of the country. So one site that you must see is Stirling Castle, which is an old medieval castle. it's where the kings and queens once lived. Stirling was in the past the capital of Scotland before Edinburgh became the capital, and now it's open to visitors. So you get fantastic tours around the castle. There are events and concerts in the castle. It's a really fantastic place. Then we've got another couple of famous castles. This castle is the first castle is at Stonehaven, out on the cliffs in the North Sea. It was built to defend the north coast, and it's a very rugged landscape. A very narrow path along the cliff to get up into the castle, and the view is fantastic. And this one is on Loch Ness. So this is Nessie's house. You know, she hides in there. Then we've got popular sports in Scotland. So like we said, golf is very popular. Rugby is very popular, although on Sunday we lost very, very badly at rugby. Football is the most popular sport in Scotland, and hockey is very popular. These are the four most popular sports in Scotland. So what do kids, young people in Scotland do? They play a lot of sport. Football, rugby, hockey, squash. It's not very popular here. Golf. In the summer, I like to go cycling and hiking in the hills and the mountains. Go fishing. And in the winter, with all these hills and mountains, skiing and sledging, very popular. And of course, like in any other part of the world, they like computer games. Now, some of the most important people to come from Scotland. We've got, the first is Alexander Graham Bell, who invented the telephone. We've got a little picture of him here, but he didn't like his invention. He absolutely refused to have a telephone in his office because he didn't like to be disturbed. So he invented it but never used it, hated it. Then we've got Andrew Carnegie, who became more famous in America than in Scotland. He made lots and lots of money in the steel industry, and he left all this money when he died in a trust to create libraries all over America and all over Scotland. So the majority, or a large number, of public libraries in America and in Scotland are funded, are paid for by Andrew Carnegie, even over 100 years after his death. Sean Connery, I think we know who he was. James Bond. You like James Bond? Yeah, it's good fun. So, no, who said no? So, Sean Connery. Sorry? The new James Bond. Yeah, it's not the same, it's different. It's very different. But James Bond was performed first by Sean Connery, who was Scottish, and it was written by a Scotsman. So it's very much a Scottish thing. A few more famous Scots are Arthur Conan Doyle, who wrote Sherlock Holmes, who I've discovered is very, very popular in Russia. I think they're fantastic stories. Then you got Travis, who became a famous rock group, although I think not in Russia. Captain Kidd, famous pirate. John Muir, another Scotsman who went to America, made lots of money, and left his money to create the national parks in America. And lastly, Robert Louis Stevenson, who wrote Treasure Island. Do you know Robert Louis Stevenson? Have you read Stevenson? Yeah. Treasure Island is a good book. Who's read Treasure Island? Only 1, 2, 3? You should all read Treasure Island, it's good. And even better is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Have you read Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? Yes? No? You should all read it. It's fantastic.
Nowadays they don't read at all.
Oh,
They get information from different sources, like the internet.
that's true, but
It's not a culture.
books are wonderful.
Sad.
Okay, now a few more things that Scotland's famous for. Haggis. So we spoke about haggis. Then we've got the kilt. The kilt is made from wool. It's very heavy, very thick wool. It's very, very warm. So even in the winter, it's very warm, very comfortable. And we wear the kilt at special occasions. So weddings and graduation, New Year, Burns Night, which is a celebration of our national poet. So special occasions, and it's always nice to get dressed up for special occasions. Then there's the bagpipes, which again we've spoken a little about. Have you ever heard the bagpipes? Yeah, they're a very unique
Indian
sound.
scatterings they sometimes perform.
Yeah, I haven't seen it, but someone told me, and I was very surprised to hear of a piper in St. Petersburg.
People stop and listen.
Yeah, I'm sure they make some money too. Okay, and a little bit more about Scottish culture is that the patterns on the kilt are called tartan, and each of these tartans are connected to clans. A clan is the old family groups. Now people don't follow clans, but they still have the names, and they still wear the tartan that matches their name. And then the Scots celebrate many holidays. This is Edinburgh at New Year, where there's a big street party, and about 150 to 200,000 people go out onto the streets and party all night. It's like in Russia, New Year is the biggest celebration in Scotland. No, traditionally Christmas was more popular in England. Now Christmas and New Year are about equal in Scotland, but that's only recently. In the past, New Year was always the biggest celebration, and you know, everybody would have a party, and you would move between the parties and see lots of different friends, different relatives, different neighbours. It's good fun. It's my favourite holiday. I like New Year a lot. And then a little bit of Scottish food, haggis again. So there you go. That's what it looks like. A very fat sausage. Then there's what we call millionaire shortbread. So it's a Scottish biscuit with some caramel and chocolate, and it's very tasty. And then shortbread, Walker's shortbread, which is very nice buttery biscuit. And I think that's good. Okay.
So, any questions for David?
I have
Okay.
other medieval festivals in Scotland.
Medieval festivals. Not really. If there are, then they're quite small. We do have what we call the Highland Games, which is, you know, they're very old traditional sports like throwing trees. Take a great big tree and throw it as far as they can, wearing a kilt, and throw rocks and do the hammer throw. But the medieval festivals, if there are, they're not very popular. I don't know of medieval festivals. Do you know of any medieval festivals in Scotland? No? No. Any others?
Any other questions?
Yeah? Sorry? The pattern on the tartan. What does it mean?
Yes,
You mean the color?
So it's I'm not sure if there's a specific history to each pattern, but each pattern has a connection to the clan. And clans, they have sometimes 3 or 4 different patterns. So there's a hunting tartan, there's a dress tartan for formal occasions, there's an everyday tartan. So you get different kinds, but as far as I know, there aren't any specific meanings to the chosen colours. There might be, but I don't know them. What were you going to say?
How do you call Santa Claus in your country, like the Santa?
Santa Claus.
Santa Claus.
Yeah, it's just the same. Any others?